Happy Ganesh Chaturthi. The reason why I'm making this video is my mother. In the morning, she wanted me to play to her the very famous hymn that was recorded by Shankar Mahadevan some years ago, I think probably 3 to 4 years ago. And she loves it so much that today being the first day of the Ganesh Festival, she wanted me to play it, and I did. It's very easily available on YouTube, so I played it for her. And while the hymn was being played, I was looking at the image of Lord Ganesha that was there on the screen, and I looked at the image the way in which I had never looked at the image before, because I'd never actually paid attention. I think this is what you really have to do. You have to pay attention, not just sort of, sort of unite your palms in prayer and then rush off completely, but look very, very attentively, look very carefully. And maybe that's what I did. I looked very carefully, and as a result of that, I found that the iconography of Lord Ganesha is giving me a message that I perhaps never heard before. And what I did was I also combined it with the circumstances of his birth, how he took shape, how he took form, how he came to assume the form that he subsequently has. All of that was playing in my mind, and I thought, isn't it interesting that we do not seem to be thinking about Lord Ganesh as a god who is going to be of great emotional support to all of us who feel like they are strange, like they don't belong. So I think, the more I thought about the iconography of Lord Ganesh, the more powerful he became as somebody who validates those who do not feel natural, who do not feel complete, who do not feel beautiful, who do not feel perfect. And I think there is this very important way in which one can perhaps claim Lord Ganesha for those of us who feel like that. Let us look at the circumstances of his birth. And even before we look at the circumstances of his birth, let us look at his name. Ganesh, which means Gana combined with Isha. Gana, people, Isha, God. So God of the people. So if the God of the people is what Ganesha is, then he is somebody, or his body is that, which I think carries a very important message for everybody, irrespective of religion. It carries a very powerful message for everybody. What is the message that I got from the iconography today? Well, this is the message that I got. Look at the circumstances of his birth, right? He was not born the way in which we think of a natural birth. He did not emerge out of the womb of Parvati. He was actually created out of the deposits on Parvati's skin. So she rubbed all the deposits on her skin before she was going to have a bath. And with the clay that emerged from the top of her skin, she created this little boy. And then she loved the little boy so much that she breathed life into the little boy. So therefore, Ganesh was not made biologically. That is the first thing that we have to understand. And he is a god. So therefore, if a god is not made biologically, then I think the whole obsession regarding biological birth, or the whole valorization of biology as the ultimate basis of your identity, can suddenly look like not a very good idea. So here is a god who is not born biologically. Okay. But soon after his birth, he is subjected to horrific violence. He is decapitated. His head is cut off. As if that horrible violence is not enough, another animal, a perfectly innocent animal, an elephant, is killed, and that elephant's head is put on the headless body of this little boy. Hence, we have the iconography that we do. But what one should always also remember is that this elephant is ekadanta. So therefore, he has one tusk. So there is a kind of incompleteness in Ganesha's face itself. He is supposed to have two tusks, but he has one. Now, it is this incompleteness which I think is so empowering to all of us who feel incomplete in some way or the other. Those of us who feel like an incomplete Indian, those of us who feel like an incomplete Hindu, those of us who feel like an incomplete Muslim, those of us who feel like an incomplete male, those of us who feel like an incomplete female. Incompleteness is something which is deified in the iconography of Lord Ganesha. How much more empowering can incompleteness be? Ganesha, simply by existing in front of our eyes, makes incompleteness okay. What he also makes okay is the sense of being physically not normative. Because Ganesha's body is not a normative body. He is out of shape. He is obese. He doesn't go to the gym. But somehow that does not matter. Because Ganesha, by simply existing, his body is a non-normative body. And it is this non-normative body which resists the hegemony of the six-pack. He is also saying that fat shaming is something that we should perhaps not do. He is also perhaps simply through existing is saying, whatever body shape you have, you are okay, you are beautiful. Not only that, you are potentially divine. So what we really have in the iconography of Ganesh is a valorization of a kind of physical imperfection. He seems to be saying, look at me, I'm imperfect. I don't look like, a film star, but that is okay because I'm still divine. So therefore, divinity does not depend on physical perfection. And also what we really have to understand is that his head belongs to an animal. So if his head belongs to an animal, so therefore intelligence is something that he is, through his iconography, he's saying intelligence is not the sole preserve of the human. Because I am thinking with the head of an elephant and I seem to be doing just fine. Because he's revered for his wisdom. He is revered for his intelligence. And he's supposedly thinking with the head of an elephant. So there is a very powerful message, a very sort of anti-anthropocentric message in the iconography of Ganesh, which is clearly saying, please do not be so arrogant about human intelligence, because I have the head of an elephant. So Ganesh, Lord Ganesh, should also teach us humility. It should also teach us to be humble about being human, because he seems to think, and we agree with him, that just being human is not something that automatically makes you superior to any other kind of animal species. So what we really look at, when we look at Ganesh, therefore, we find in him a kind of valorization of imperfection, a kind of valorization of incompleteness, a kind of valorization of the not normal. Now, if these very, very patriarchal ideas of perfection, completeness, normality, if we find these very patriarchal ideas challenged in the body of one of our gods, then what right do we have to point to others and saying, you are imperfect, or you are grotesque, or you are unnatural? So, what really Lord Ganesha teaches us is that we should celebrate what is supposedly unnatural in us. We should celebrate whatever is supposedly grotesque in us. We should celebrate whatever is supposedly, strange to us, strange in us. Because simply by existing, Ganesha is speaking to all kinds of non-normativities. So let this Ganesh Chaturthi be a reason for us to celebrate all non-normativities, whether it be physical, whether it be mental, and to celebrate difference. Surely that is the best message that we can pass around each other on this holy occasion. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi.